Hey guys, so today I decided to go over homework lessons 1D and 1E just to make sure you guys understand how to complete them correctly. So starting with the first question, the first two questions, the question is asking, given a quadratic parent function, y equals x squared, write the equations of the transformation and state the vertex. So basically, remember the parent function is the mother function, it's the main function. So this unit is about quadratics, and the parent function for all quadratics is y equals x squared. Just remember that. This is the parent function for all quadratic functions, y equals x squared. It means it's the original one, is the parent one, is the main one, right? From which we do transformations. So now we're going to take this function, the parent function, and we're going to apply the transformation described in question number 1. In question number 1, the transformation is opens downward, translated 6 left and 4 down. Now we can say translated 6 units left and 4 units down, or just 6 left, 4 down. I prefer including the word units. So opens downward, what does that mean? So technically you're starting with y equals x squared. That's what you're starting with. And you're going to apply these transformations. When the function opens downward, that means the a, if you remember, when we learned about the vertex form, we had y equals a multiplied by x minus h quantity squared, and then plus k. We said if a is negative, right, if this number in front of the x term is negative, the parabola would open what? It opens downward. And this is extra notes for you. If a is positive, then the parabola opens upward. So keep that in mind. If you're asked about it in a later question, you can tell that if this number is positive, again, positive, it doesn't have to be a fraction or non-fraction. Positive means just positive, right? Greater than 0. And negative is a negative. So here, when the parabola opens downward, what you would have applied a negative to. So to go from this is a negative applied to in front of the x squared or to the left of x squared, and then translate it 6 units left. So to open downward, you go like this. You go, this is open downward now. And then you want to translate it 6 units left. Now the right or left, if you recall, it was a transformation that is applicable to the x value. So here, if we change something next to the x value on the inside of the parenthesis, this is how we go left or right. And the k, the number on the outside, was the number that allowed it to go up or down, right? So we're going 6 units left. So technically, this becomes now negative, and instead of x squared, to go left, think about what makes it 0. So some of us may think it's x minus 6 because we're going left, when in fact it's actually x plus 6 quantity squared. And now we're here. Now, if you forget, think about what makes this parenthesis 0, what makes this 0, right? And you can see that the value negative 6, because negative 6 plus 6 is 0, that means we're going left 6. So again, when they say left, translate left, you're applying a minus inside the parenthesis. And then lastly, and 4 units down, so now I'm going through like phases, right? The first phase is open downward, the second phase, and you don't have to go through phases, you can do it all in one step. And then the 4 units down, that's the k, that means the k is negative. So this becomes y equals negative quantity x plus 6 squared, and then minus 4. So notice the minus 4 here, this is 4 down. The negative in front of the quantity here, that's open down. And here, x plus 6 is 6 left. Okay, so this is how you do it in the longer initial kind of like, when you learn it initially, you have to do it the longer way. But again, on your test, you don't have to show me every phase. You don't have to show me this, then this, then this. As long as you show me what? The final outcome, which is this. Okay, it helps me understand that you know how to combine all the 3 transformations in one final result. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, and again, feel free to pause, revisit, review the parts. Number 2, the question says, again, it's open upward now, translate 8 right. So we're doing the same, we're going to speed it up a little bit. For number 2, we're opening upward, so there's no change. This is the a is positive. And by the way, if someone said, just to go back to number 1, If someone had placed here negative 2, would that still open downward? Yes, it would. However, there would be an additional element added. The 2 is going to affect the graph by stretching it vertically. But because we didn't say anything about stretching vertically or horizontally, we didn't talk about that. Therefore, we keep it just negative, which means -1. Now, open upward or opens upwards for number 2. That means the number in front of the x squared is positive. So we're going to keep it 1. And then translate 8 right, that's going to be x minus 8 squared. That's 8 right. And then 5 down, that's -5. And that's it. So I did this in just one step. Okay, any questions on this? Just make sure you ask me in class. Make sure you pause, revisit, learn it in steps. Numbers 3 and 4 describe the transformation. So for number 3, from x squared, of course, again, from the parent function. For number 3, the only transformation was the x minus 2 squared. So think about what that does. And remember, as we mentioned in class, we always think about what makes this 0. What value of x, right? And the value here is positive 2, because 2 minus 2 is 0. So technically, what happened here? We know it opens up, first of all, right? It opens up. And then what? And you may include that. And then what? And then what? Translated or translation 2 units right. 2 units to the right. Or 2 units right, it's fine. Number 4, we have several elements, and I kind of did this in class, actually did this in class and showed you exactly how to break this down into steps. So the steps are, if you think about x squared, which is the parent function, think about how x squared became this, right? What are the changes? What are the transformations? There are quite a few of them. There's actually this negative that got added. There's this 2 that got added. There's this parenthesis that became x plus 1, and there's that extra plus 3 on the outside. So we have 4 items. If you want to analyze it, we have 4 items. Therefore, we should think about 4 things, okay? So the negative, what does the negative do? The negative, it automatically reflects in or about the x-axis, in the x-axis. That's the negative. The 2, remember we said when A, we talked about this, we said when A is greater, let me use a different color. When A is greater than 0, not only, actually, when A is greater than 0, it opens upward. We said when A is greater than 1, we have a vertical stretch. And I'd like to think of it as when A in absolute value, okay, is greater than 1. And when A in absolute value is between 0 and 1, then we have what? The vertical shrink or compression. Okay, I like the word compression better, but if you want to use the word shrink, that's okay as well. So here, the A, this A, the number in front of the parenthesis is 2, and it's greater than 1. 2 is greater than 1, which means we're going to have a vertical stretch by a factor. Please make sure you write it correctly, by a factor of 2. Okay. And then the third item is here, the x plus 1 squared, in parentheses, quantity squared. That's, think about again, what makes it 0? -1 makes it 0. That means translation. So I'm adding to this. Translation. 1 unit left, because -1 makes it 0. So that's 1 unit left. And then the positive 3 and what? And 3 units up. And that really, these are the 4 items, just like as promised, right? The 2 arrows and the 2 brackets here, 4 items. Numbers 5 and 6. For each question below, write the coordinate of the vertex and describe the transformation of each graph, then sketch. So make sure when you read a question, you kind of break it down into its parts, because every part of the question has a number of points associated with it. So here, what are you expected to do? It says, for each question below, write the coordinates of the vertex. That's item number 1 that I need. And then the second item is said, describe the transformation. That's the second item. You see, these are action verbs, write, describe, And then the third item, third and last, is what? Sketch. So you're expected to do 3 things. Make sure you complete all 3 tasks, right? So write the coordinates of the vertex. The vertex, if you recall from the vertex form, which we wrote up here, and I'm going to write again, y equals a quantity multiplied by quantity x minus h squared plus k. This is the vertex form. We said that the vertex is h comma k. So the vertex is whatever makes the parentheses 0, because h here makes it 0, h minus h would be 0, and then this number on the outside, positive or negative. Here, this is like saying x minus 6 squared plus 0. There's no k. Or in fact, I shouldn't say there's no k, k is 0. So what is the vertex? For number 5, the vertex is 6 comma 0. That's the first part. These are the coordinates of the vertex. Remember, coordinates of a point, these are ordered pairs. That means they have to be in parentheses, right? Don't put brackets, because this is a point, and a point is an ordered pair. So parenthesis and parenthesis, right? And then describe the transformation. So what happened here? What's the transformation? And I should have probably put this down here. So I'm answering technically these parts, right? But it's okay. The transformation, what happened to the transformation? For transformation, we can say it opens up, and transformation was 6 units to the right. Translation, 6 units to the right. Nothing else, right? There's no number in front of the parenthesis, there's no negative, there's nothing being added on the outside, etc. So this is pretty much it. For number 6, you have a negative x squared plus 8. So again, how do I know what the vertex here is for number 6? Again, for number 6, remember the term in x squared. So number 6 is, in other words, number 6 could be written like this. It can, right? If you want to rewrite it in vertex form, so you see what h comma k are. Technically, the vertex is h. When you have x by itself, the x value of the vertex is 0, which is technically this, right? Whatever makes it 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. And then the number on the outside is k, which is 8. So this is the vertex. Oh, we forgot a sketch for number 5. For number 5, let's go back and sketch. You see? We did 2 parts out of 3, so I have to be careful. I have to be careful. For the vertex, 6 comma 0. So you can label these units the way you want. I would probably go by ones, maybe. So 1, if they're not labeled, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about right here. This is the oh, I apologize. We said 6, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, 0, 6, 6, 0. So this is 6 comma 0. This is where your vertex is. And then from there, you can graph this. Now, you don't have to be too precise for this to graph it, but if you recall in the class, we talked about the table of values. So if you want to make sure the graph is correct, remember we place the vertex in the center of the table of values, and then we assign 2 x values to the right of the x value of the vertex, which are 7 and 8, and 2 x values to the left of the value of the vertex, which is 5 and 4, and we can plug them in. So if you plug in 7, you get 7 minus 6, that's 1, 1 squared is 1. If you plug in 8, 8 minus 6 is 2, 2 squared is 4. And then guaranteed, because this is your vertex, guaranteed, these are going to be mirror image values, so 1 and 4. So this helps you graph this better. So 7, comma 1, which is about right here, 5, comma 1, which is about right here, 8, comma 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. These are very, not very clear. Comma 4 is going to be here, and 4, comma 4 is going to be symmetrical to it in this end. And that helps you really shape the parabola, right? Remember, the graph of a quadratic is called a parabola. This is a parabola. You don't need to write it down, but just remember. The equation, it's the equation of a quadratic, but the graph is a parabola. So this is it. This is your function, y equals x minus 6 quantity squared. This is how you graph it. And you can see it moves 6 units to the right. For negative x squared plus 8, same idea. We got the vertex. That's the first part. The second part was describe the transformation. So we have two things. We have a negative here on the outside, and then we have an 8 that is being added. So the negative on the outside is a reflection in the or about the x-axis, followed by what? Followed by a what? A translation eight units up, because it's positive. Now we can add to that opens upward, right? It opens upward. It's a good idea to automatically, or sorry, it opens downward, right? The negative. Or down. It's a good idea to always start with opens up or down, right? And then add the transformations. So this is it. The negative here is the opens down, right? We talked about the A being positive or negative. And then we can graph it. So 0, 8, that's 8 units up on the y-axis. So this is 4, I believe, 5, 6, 7, 8, about right here. This is 0, 8. And then you can either do the table of values and get the other points, you know, and they're going to be symmetrical, basically. Your graph is going to look something like this. Again, you can do the table of values, put the vertex in the middle and get 2 points to the right of the vertex, 2 points to the left of the vertex. Remember, we call this the 5-point table of values. And you can plug these values in. You plug in one, you'll get, just be careful with plugging in. Remember, when plugging in, especially with squares, we talked about being erasing the x and replacing it with a parenthesis. So here will be negative. This is x squared plus 8, right? This is how it's going to look like. So you're plugging in 1 inside the parenthesis. And then you do PEMDAS. So you do 1 squared first, which is 1. Then you apply the negative, which is negative 1 plus 8 is 7. And same thing, negative 2 squared, and then plus 8. 2 squared first is 4, with a negative is negative 4, plus 8 is 4. And then guaranteed, these are going to be 7 and 4. So 0, 8, which is here, this is 0, 8. And then, I don't know if I graphed it accurately before the points. 1, 7, 1 to the right and 7 up, about right here, that's not bad. And then negative 1, 7 also, that's good. And then 2, 4, so 2 to the right and 1, 2. So you see I should have gone probably here, negative 2, 4. So this is not as accurate as I'd like it to be. So let's go erase this a little bit and then reshape it. So reshape it and do, this is now more accurate. Okay. And make sure your graph is a smooth curve. So the vertex is not really a corner. Okay, this vertex here, it's like a hilly but smooth curve on top and smooth curve. It's not a corner. It's not like an absolute value. So careful, it's not this or this. It's a smooth curve and it's a smooth curve. Okay, so that was number 6. Moving on. Let me clear this page. And this is again homework for 1D, 1E. We're talking transformations here still, okay? And this will be on your unit test. So let's clear this and move on to numbers 7 and 8. And then homework 1F. 7 and 8 for homework number, for question number 7, the same thing. What's the transform? What's a vertex? What's this transformation? And then sketch it, of course. So starting with a vertex, the vertex is again what makes this 0, what makes this part 0. And in this case, whatever makes it 0 is 1, 0. So it's 1 on the inside. Think about if you plug in 1, you get 0, right? For this. Then 2 times 0 is 0. So that's the y value. And then transformation, we have two things here that happened. We know it opens upward, right? But to talk about transformation, think about what happened to the parent function. So what happened to x squared, right? How did x squared, y equals x squared, become this? It got multiplied by 2, and then this happened. So two things. The 2 on the outside is a vertical stretch by a factor of 2. And then the x minus 1, and then translation. Now you want to say followed by, or you don't want to say followed by, that's okay. You can just, you can make them these bullet points, like first vertical stretch and then what translate. That's okay too. Translation, 1 unit right. Now again, what is it? Why is it 1 unit right? Because positive 1 is what makes this 0. Positive 1 for x. And this is pretty much the transformation. Then graph it. So you can plug some points in, and you can, I would recommend that. I would strongly, honestly recommend the table of value, starting again with the vertex. The vertex in the center, 2x values to the right of the vertex, the x value of the vertex, and 2x values to the left of the value of the vertex. Plug them in. And 2, for example, 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1 times 2, or multiplied by 2 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. And you're going to get guaranteed, you'll get here a 2 and an 8. Because the vertex is in the middle. Careful. Not any other point. Because the vertex is in the center. This is always going to be the center of your 5-point table. So let's graph it. Let's plot these points. 1, 0, that's 1 to the right and 0 up. So 1, 0 is right here. 2, 2, 2 to the right, 2 up right here. 0, 2, that's also symmetrical here. 3 and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not very clear, but it's about right here. And then -1 and same height, 8. And again, smooth curve going this way and curving and going this way. Again, should be more smooth, right? It's not a sharp edge. It's a smooth U-shaped curve. And this is it. So it always looks like this. That's number 7. Number 8, same idea. Vertex, what makes it 0? -5 makes it 0. So -5, comma. Now, some of you may ask me, how do I get the y value here? The y value is always, remember, the h comma k. This is like +0, and so is this. So there's no k. So the k here, or the k is 0. I shouldn't say there's no evident k, but it's k is equal to 0. Transformation. What happened to this graph? Few things happened. Look at them right here. There's a negative, there's a 1/2, and there's this. So there are 3 items that happen to the parent function, y equals x squared. The negative, we would say, remember the negative, the job of a negative is to reflect. Reflection in or about the x-axis. 2, the second item is the 1/2. When a, this number in front of the parenthesis here was 2, was more than 1, we said vertical stretch. Now it's between 0 and 1. So that's a, what do we say that? We call it a vertical shrink or a vertical compression. A vertical shrink or compression by a factor of 1/2. And then lastly, the x plus 5 is what? Translation. What? 5 units left, or 5 units to the left. And this is it, really. So remember these steps. They're not too bad, right? Now to graph it, again, 5-point table of values, starting with a vertex in the middle, -5, 0. You want 2 points to the left and 2 points to the right. So -4, -3, and then -6, -7. And plug them in. -4, if you plug in -4, if you plug in, so basically if you do f of -4, you get -1/2 multiplied by -4 plus 5 squared. So this becomes -1/2 multiplied by -4 plus 5 is 1. 1 squared is 1 times -1/2 is -1/2. And that's guaranteed to be here. Remember, they're symmetrical simply because the vertex is in the middle. This is always the vertex. -3, plug in -3, -1/2 times quantity, or multiply by quantity, -3 plus 5 squared, and then nothing on the outside. So -3 plus 5 is 2, 2 squared is 4, -1/2. So this is -1/2 multiplied by 4, and that's -2. This will be -2, and so will this be. And now we plot them. So let's plot this. -5, 0, that's 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is kind of what we promised here, if you remember. We promised to go 5 left, so now it's 5 left. And then 5, 0, -5, 0, -4, -1/2. 4 left, half down, about right here. and 6 left, half down, about right here. 7 left, 2 down, right here, and 3 left, 2 down, about right here. And basically, this is going to be your parabola. Okay, and it's a good practice to show the vertex on the parabola, like -5, 0. You don't need to, but it's good practice. It's also a good practice to write the equation next to, which is y equals negative, but it's already here. So this is 1D and 1E. I hope this was helpful for 1D, 1E. These are transformation. These will be on your test, okay? Review them, understand them, learn them in depth, and make sure how you know how to apply them. Now moving on to homework 1F, which is the most recent homework you were assigned. And let's get started on number 1. Write the equation of the parabola in vertex form given 3, 2, and 2, point 2, negative 6. So the vertex is given and the point is given. Now, if you recall, and I want to really focus on this, you are expected on the quiz to know this equation, y equals, or we can call it f of x, it's up to you. It's the same thing, a multiplied by quantity x minus h squared plus k. This is the vertex form of the equation of a quadratic. You are expected to know it. It will not be given to you. You're expected to have memorized it. So make sure you memorize it correctly. Remember, a is the factor. If it's positive, it opens up. If it's negative, it opens down, etc., etc. H and k, the vertex is h comma k. Also information that you need to know for the test. So here, they're giving you the vertex. So automatically, they're giving you h comma k in this formula. Now look, in this formula, you have how many letters? You have y, a, k, h, and x. You have 5 letters. And technically, they're giving you h and k, they're giving you h and k, and then they're giving you a point. A point, that means they're giving you an x and y value, a specific x and y value. So x and y are also given. So automatically, you know, these 4 items are given, which means a is left, not given. That means you're finding a by having this information. So again, when you're given a vertex and a point, you're given an x and y value from the point, and you're given the h and comma k from the vertex. So all you need to do is plug them in to find a. So technically you're saying -6, that's y, equals a, which we don't know, x, the x value here for this specific point is 2, minus h, which is 3, quantity squared, and then plus k on the outside, which is plus 2. Okay, that's all you need to do. Plug in and solve for a. So you get, if you can do it in different ways. You can subtract 2 from both sides. You get -8 equals a multiplied by 2 minus 3. This is -1. This gives you -1, but it's being squared, so it's 1. So a times 1, or just a equals -8. So this is your a value. This allows you to find the a value, the value of a. So now, how do you find the equation? Because remember, the question was write the equation of the parabola. That means you want to write this. When they say write the equation, that means at the end, so I'm going to put it in a different color. When they say write the equation here, they're expecting you to, at the end, plug in for a, plug in for h, and plug in for k. The y and the x remain y and x in the final equation. Remember, x and y remain always x and y at the end. So we have a, and we have k, and we have h. Let's find the equation. Y equals a, which is -8, multiplied by x minus, we said h is 3, quantity squared, and then plus k, which is plus 2. And you're done. Remember, this is the final equation, okay? Pretty simple. Similarly, we're going to do number 2 in vertex form. So write the equation of parabola in vertex form, given the vertex, again, the h and k, and then the point, which is kind of technically an x value and a y value. You can call them x1, y1, okay? So let's plug them in. Y, what's the y value? 4 equals a, we don't know a, quantity, x, the x value is 3, minus h itself is -1. So just be careful. The formula has x minus h. This is x, the x value, this is the minus, and this is h itself. This is x, the x value, this is the minus, and the h value itself is -1. So be careful, there's negative and a negative, and we'll talk about it in a moment. And then plus k, what is plus k? Plus k is like saying plus minus 2. Plus k, this is k. So plus minus 2 is the same as -2. And so on. So now we get 4 equals a multiplied by 3 minus -1. That's 3 plus 1 squared, and then minus 2. So this becomes 4 equals 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 squared is 16. This is 16a minus 2. So I'm going to rewrite it up here. 4 equals 16a minus 2. Then add 2 to both sides, because remember, we're finding a, which means we're isolating a. We're getting a by itself. So we get 6 equals 16a, and divide by 16, we get a equals 6 over 16, which can be simplified by dividing top and bottom by 2 to get 3 over 8, 3/8. So technically, this is your a value. Okay, now let's write the equation. At the end, the equation is y equals a, 3/8, multiplied by quantity, x minus h. So we said x minus h, x minus -1 squared, that's minus h, plus k, that's plus minus 2, which is -2. Okay, remember, this is k. So this becomes 3/8 x plus 1, because you have 2 minuses here, squared, and then minus 2. And this is the equation of the quadratic in vertex 1. Okay. Number 3, write the equation. So this is one type of question. You're given a vertex and you're given a point, and find the equation. The second type, which we're doing in numbers 3 and 4, it says write the equation of the graphed quadratic in vertex form. So you're given the graph, right? You're given the graph in vertex form. So automatically, I would say step 1, find the vertex. What is the vertex? Because we're not given the equation, or any information. We're given a shape or the graph. The vertex is this point. Remember, vertex is the lowest or the highest point on the parabola. In this case, it's 1, 2, 3 to the right, and 1 up. So the vertex is 3, 1. That's technically your h, k. Okay? And just find another point. Give me any point on this parabola, so that we have what we had in the previous questions. A vertex and a point. Give me any point. I would go with a point that goes through, like, crosses through like a corner. For example, I'm trying to find one. This one is a good point right here. All right. So this point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, 7 is a good point. From there, so I found the vertex, which is this point, 3, 1, the lowest point on the graph. And I find a point. This was a vertex here, right? And this is a point. Now, could you find another point? Yes, you can. But look at these points. Like, I cannot take a point randomly here. I wouldn't know what the coordinates of that point are. That's why I chose. Also, you could have gone here, for example. You could have gone through here. If this is an accurate point, I believe that's 0, 7. That's okay as well. So I chose 6, 7. It's fine. Because it's symmetrical, right? So let's write the equation. Y equals. How do we, so remember, the equation is this. Always, if you forget, just put the equation down and then fill in. Y, these are x, y. 7 equals. So you always find a first, right? Step 1 is this. Step 2 is find a. This is like an extra step. And step 3, write the equation. So 7 equals, y equals a, quantity, x is 6 minus h is 3 squared plus 1. So this becomes 7 equal a multiplied by 3 squared plus 1. 3 squared is 9. So 7 equals, or you can subtract if you want. You can subtract 1 from both sides. You would get 6 equals to 3 squared is 9a. And then to get a by itself, you get a equals, divide both sides by 9, 6 over 9, or divided by 3, sorry, it's 2/3. So this is your a. And then step 3 is write the equation. The equation is y equals a, which is what we just found, 2/3. That's 2/3. Looks like 1/3 is 2/3. Parenthesis, x minus h is 3 squared plus 1 plus k. Okay, so remember the process, remember it well. That's number 3. Number 4, again, if you have any questions on this, pause, revisit. So again, same steps. First, the vertex, I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. I believe it's, the vertex, I think it's 1, 2, 8, negative 2, 8, and a point. You don't have to put the word point. I just said point just for me to keep the format. So a point, this is a good point right here. Look at this point, 2, 0. So you get, we need to know what the a first is, right? So y equals, remember we're using this formula, a quantity x minus h squared is k. So y is, this is x, this is y, and these are h and k for the vertex. So 0 equals a, we don't know what a is, 2 minus h is negative 2 itself squared, and then plus 8. So this becomes a multiplied by 2 minus negative 2, that's 2 plus 2, which is 4 squared, and then plus 8. And then here, we can subtract 8 from both sides. 0 minus 8 is negative 8, and 4 squared is 16. So this is going to be 16a. So to get a by itself, you divide both sides by 16, and you'll get a equals negative 8 over 16, which is negative 1/2. So your equation is y equals, this is the final equation. So this is find, remember this is identifying the point, step 1, finding a, step 2, and then step 3 is just writing the equation. Y equals a, which is negative 1/2. This is not clear, negative 1/2, yep. Multiplied by quantity x minus h, we said h is negative 2, so x minus negative 2, that's x plus 2. And if you forget, you can see it here, right? The minus 2, that's going to be plus 2, squared, and then plus k, which is plus 8. And this is the final equation in vertex form. So I hope this was helpful. I promised you guys to complete 2 videos or more, and I combine them in one so that it's easier. So this is 1D, 1E, and 1F. If you have any questions, please feel free to see me during class, ask questions during office hours, or by appointment. Thank you for watching, and good luck to you.